So I welcome all the participants back to the second session of the Atal FDP. Also, I welcome back our resource person for today, Mr. Vivek Bansal. So I now hand over the session to our esteemed resource person so that he can carry forward with his talk on the next topic, that is meditation and ethics. So, sir, kindly take over.
Thank you, ma'am. So, welcome everybody again for this second session meditation and ethics. So, first, I would like to begin with this particular point need of meditation. Now, need of meditation has been always there. It's not that we need it now, but we need it now more. Why? Because as I was explaining in my last session, the nature of mind is a very heavy energy, very powerful energy, and it is flickering, obstinate, strong, determined. So, mind is also like any other organ in our body, although it is a subtle organ. Like we have kidney, we have liver, we have heart, we have brain. Similarly, mind is a subtle organ. And when we overuse of any organ, then it gets tired, exhausted, or burnt out. And that's what is happening in today's time. If you carefully see, people are having too busy schedule. Life has become very fast. People are running, 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 running. Hmm. Like, one of my friend, he coined another phrase, we used to live in Bombay, we both together. And he said, now it's not survival of the fittest, it's fastest of the fittest. The one who is more fast, who can survive, especially if you live in Mumbai. I don't know how many of you have seen Mumbai live. People are just running and running and running, and where are they running? They don't know. They know, but for what purpose they are running? Just everybody is running, so I'm also running. So there is a great need to slow down the mind, because when mind is too active, it gets heated up. People have these issues, burnt out, panic attacks. So we need to take out some time to slow down it. That's the first stage of meditation. It's not the ultimate goal of the meditation to begin with, because we are living in the modern era, and I'm addressing to people who are living in the cities and having busy life. So the important thing here, which we are going to discuss to begin with, the process to slow down the mind. What it is, meditation. In meditation, there is constant observation of mind, which I was trying to explain to you in my last session also, that if you want to bring your true potential, then first you have to learn to observe that what kind of thoughts and emotion and patterns and belief systems and behavior you have. There is a constant observation you have to start throughout the day. It's an experience and cannot be described like colors cannot be described to a blind person. So meditation cannot be explained what it is and how what experience it is. It has to be experienced actually. But we can talk the process, different kinds of meditations, the need of meditations, obstacles which you may face in meditation. Hmm. So it is a state of consciousness in which all mental waves are stilled. You know, this is a definition actually, which is a very universal definition, and it is given in the most classical book on meditation, which is called Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And there, the author is defining that what meditation is. It is a state where mental waves are still. Just imagine, right now our mind is so violent. Like you see the rough ocean, and rough ocean on the high tide, it has such waves, ups and downs, ups and downs. And just imagine that ocean becomes very calm and peaceful lake. That's what we are expecting, to bring that peace and serenity by practicing the meditation in our life. And when you're peace and calm, so much wonderful things can be achieved. It involves setting aside a regular time and place for the specific purpose of discovering that infinite well of wisdom lies within. It involves setting aside a regular time and place for the specific purpose of discovering that infinite well of wisdom lies within. So it's very important that every day you commit yourself to take out some time. It may be just 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And a place. Place is important also, although you can do it anywhere. But if you have a place, if you have a time, then it's easy to trick the mind. It's easy to bring the habit into your daily routine. Now, before I go further, I'm very curious to know how many of you have been practicing some kind of meditation and how long. If you can write in the chat box or you can speak it out, it's very important for me to know which kind of audience I am talking, because this is not a like regular class which I am taking. It's like one session out of so many. So will you please, if anybody has been practicing a kind of meditation, what kind of meditation, and for how long you have been practicing, how long you practice every day, I'm very curious to know, because then it's very easy to include some of the things which you may need more. So am I talking to the audience who are already pro into meditation, or am I talking to the audience who have tried meditation but didn't succeed, or am I talking to audience who are beginners in meditation? Few answers I'm expecting, please. Nobody talks. Why it is like this? Frustrating. I meditate for 10 minutes every day. Wonderful. Thank you for applying. Okay. No other answers. So we have, when we talk about meditation, have you heard about active meditation? There is active meditation and there is a passive meditation. Will say, what is active meditation? Passive meditation is what generally uh, people do, like sit at one place and try to focus on something. But there is called active meditation also. Active meditation is what you do throughout the day. Active meditation, now some answers have come. I meditate for half an hour every day. Wow. Which kind of meditation you do? Can you please write, Gitanjali ji? I practice yoga for half an hour daily, but no meditation. I'm a beginner. Okay, fine. So what I'm saying, what is active meditation? First, try to understand active meditation. Active meditation is the kind of thoughts you carry throughout the day. The kind of discussion which I was having in my last session. So I was trying to assist you to shift your thought process from negative thought process to positive, or negative emotions to positive. So that's kind of active meditation. That throughout the day, what kind of thoughts you're carrying with you. And that affects our passive meditation. When we sit at one place, so whatever thoughts we have been carrying throughout the day, that affects when we sit to meditate. And our passive meditation will affect how we are carrying ourselves throughout the day. Hmm. So both are interconnected. Active meditation also means that karma yoga, actually, yoga of action, that your thoughts and your actions are in direction. Your thoughts and your thoughts and your actions are in the direction of your psychophysical nature, which also I explained you last to last session. So this session is more about talking about passive meditation. What is passive meditation? Passive meditation are different techniques which we are going to share with you. By learning some of them, if you try to practice, then you can calm down your mind, you can bring more concentration in your life, you can have more sharpness, more clarity, you can have better sleep. There's so many benefits actually. And ultimately, there is a benefit of going deeper and realizing your real self. There is no doubt about that if you want to go to that far. So, before we go ahead, let's practice a 5 minutes meditation. Mm. Breathing, mindful breathing meditation, we'll begin with. Mindful breathing meditation is all about observing your breath. So wherever you are, because this session, there will be some practice also, because I don't just want to talk about in this session because it's a very practical thing. I want you to learn some practical stuff also. So wherever you are, please sit with your back straight. Close your eyes. If you're sitting on chair, you can be there, no problem, but your back has to be straight. Close your eyes, and before closing your eyes, if possible, you can just, if any noise making possibility, any gadget or anything, just put them in the silent mode if something is around. Now close your eyes, relax your shoulders, relax your neck, and please observe your breath. Just observe your breath. Observing your breath means you're observing that your breath is traveling during inhalation inside your nostrils and going inside your lungs. And you're exhaling. When you're inhaling, your belly is rising, and when you're exhaling, your belly is going inside. Just observe the movement of your breath and observe the movement of your belly. As you inhale, if you're inhaling in a right way, then your belly will rise, coming out, it will come out. And when you will exhale, belly will go in. So please try to observe this. As you will inhale, your lungs will be filled with air, and if you inhale more deeply, lungs will expand and they will push the diaphragm down so that your belly will come out. And as you will exhale, your belly will go in, diaphragm will come up, your lungs will contract, and all the air will come out. Now practice this for next 30 to 40 seconds. Inhale deeply so that your diaphragm pushes your belly out, and exhale completely and slowly. Deep inhalation and slow and complete exhalation. Deep inhalation, slow and complete exhalation. Now, in every exhalation, please try to imagine that you are exhaling all the suppressed emotions, anxieties, and worries. As I discussed in the last session, we have many emotional hurts, feeling of guilt, insecurities, fears, phobias. Just imagine that in every exhalation, you are exhaling everything out. As you are exhaling, all your suppressed emotions are also getting released. Continue to exhale nicely and continue to inhale more deeply. Now make your breath more deeper and subtler by taking your awareness to the inner walls of your nostrils. Make your breath more deeper and subtler by taking your awareness to inner walls of your nostrils. And when you inhale, imagine that every breath, when you're inhaling the air, the fresh breath is energizing every cell of your body. As you're inhaling, that every breath, every inhalation is energizing every cell of your body. Continue to keep your back straight. Back of the head is in the line with the spinal cord. Your shoulders are relaxed. Your hands are on your knees. And you're totally aware of your breath, the movement of your breath. In every inhalation, you are energizing every cell of your body, and in every exhalation, you are releasing all kinds of suppressed emotions and anxieties and worries out of your personality. Now bring your awareness to your forehead. Say to yourself, I'm relaxing my forehead. I'm relaxing my forehead. My forehead is relaxed. I'm relaxing my eyes. I'm relaxing my eyes. My eyes are relaxed. I'm relaxing my cheeks. I'm relaxing my cheeks. My cheeks are relaxed. I'm relaxing my lips, lips, jaw, jaw, and tongue. I'm relaxing my tongue and jaw. My tongue and jaw are relaxed. I'm relaxing my shoulders. I'm relaxing my neck muscles. I'm relaxing my neck muscles. My neck muscles are relaxed. Observe your breath again. See how deeper and subtler he has become. Now bring your awareness to your shoulders. Roll your shoulders clockwise and anti-clockwise. Then rotate your neck clockwise once and then anti-clockwise once. Now bring your palms together and rub them nicely. Create some heat out of them. Cover your eyes with those palms. Feel the heat on your eyes. Take your palms down, open your eyes, and see, observe how you feel. And share with me few of your experiences in this 7 to 8 minutes of very simple mindful breathing meditation. How relaxed and how calm and peaceful you feel. This is one of the mindfulness exercise which is very simple. If you want to practice it later on, you can always go to my channel and do it. There is a small video on mindful breathing there. And wherever you are, whichever place and whichever time of the day, even if you're just sitting in your office, you can just sit on your chair, close your eyes, and you can do this very simple 5 to 7 minutes mindful breathing exercise. And it will help you to just become totally peaceful. So, what are your experiences? Anybody would like to speak, please? How did you feel? Did you enjoy doing it? You could do it easily. Or you found any difficulty in doing it? What challenges you faced? Or you have any question about this particular kind of meditation? It was a most basic, most simple kind of thing which anybody can do. Okay. So here, this is the verse which is from Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Now here begins the discipline of yoga. If you want to be sincere about meditation, then one thing is very important. You have to bring discipline in your life. Means you have to bring some kind of regulation. You have to commit to yourself that I will do it. Now, atha word is used here. Atha means now. We don't see many books or even any book which starts with atha, therefore. Therefore, because Patanjali is assuming that being a human, now it's very fortunate because we can sit and meditate. We have this knowledge by which we can bring transformation in our life. Anushasanam. Anushasanam means to rule. If we don't learn to rule ourselves, then somebody else will rule, as I told you in the last session also. So the whole process of meditation is we are learning to rule our mind, we are learning to rule our senses. Shasan, shasan, to control, to rule, to administer. And meditation helps you to rule your own life. Because once you start ruling your mind, you don't allow it to go here and there, you bring it back again and again. It becomes easy because meditation is a hard work. When you close your eyes, your mind start going here and there. You want to focus on your breath. You have to again and again bring it back because it will run away. And again you have to bring it back. It will run away. Again you have to bring it back. Like a small child running here and there, creating chaos, havoc. But you have to be constantly on watch, observing what your small child is doing. Is he going to break anything? Is he going to burn anything? Is he going to tear anything? Similarly, mind is like a child running here and there. So meditation brings shasan, anushasan in your life. And for that, we need dhrarvrata, determination. Firm determination, ability to say no to temptations. We need to have some determination to practice meditation. And when you practice meditation, you develop determination in both ways. Which comes first? It's very difficult to answer. But you start with little determination because you need little determination, and that determination actually comes by like-minded people or from a guru, from a coach, from a teacher. Some inspiration you get from someone. You start with little determination, and with the little determination you invest some time and energy, and when you get benefited, then you want to do more. You develop more determination. So whatever you have, you invest into it, and then you start saying no to many temptations in your life, because there are so many temptations which keep coming in life and they want you to distract from your path. Humans have ability to say to sense and sense objects because we have been given that special gift compared to other species. Like this river is gushing towards ocean to meet the ocean. This is called determination. No matter what obstacle comes to my life, I will continue my path. Like in last session, I showed the video of that man. No matter how difficult it is, but I will reach to the final destination, the finish line of my race. This kind of determination you will achieve by doing meditation, my dear friends. And this is the thing which I was trying to tell you. Yogasya chitta vritti nirodha. What is yoga? Chitta. Chitta is mind, intelligence, and ego. And there's so many waves, vrittis in our mind. And nirodha means making them still. So the whole yoga process, whole meditation process has only one goal: to bring calmness into your mind, to bring peace in mind, and stopping all the waves, ups and downs which are happening. There are many definitions of yoga in different traditions. Yoga is the stilling of thoughts, which we are talking. According to Karma Yoga and Bhagavad Gita, yoga is defined as samatvam, evenness of mind. What is the meaning of evenness of mind? That also we were talking in the last presentation. That you're not affected by ups and downs of your life. You're not affected by success or failure. You're not affected by insult or honor or respect. Your response to every situation depends on you. Situations cannot affect you. There is a meaning of evenness of mind. And by practicing meditation, my dear friends, you will develop the evenness of mind that nobody, no situation can affect you so easily. And there are many examples you will find in our history of India, people behaving like that. And even current times, you may find some people. And we all want to be like that, that we somewhere wish to have that kind of mind. But it doesn't happen overnight. You have to put endeavor. And another thing is yoga karma sukaushlam. skill in action, that also we have discussed active meditation, where you try to use your talents, your psychophysical nature in a right way with full energy. Yoga is believed to be when senses are firmly under control. When you start practicing meditation, yoga, your senses will start coming under your control. Means they will not pull you in all 10 different directions and demand hundreds of things, thousands of things, because of which person is so frustrated. People are so much anxious and worried that I want this, I want that, because senses are demanding. But once we start getting happiness and peace and pleasure inside, we will stop looking that thing outside. So mind is like a phonograph record containing different grooves, impressions. What happens when we take some data from our senses into the mind? It creates an impression on our mind. Like in those days, old days, used to be this phonograph record, and there used to be different grooves, impressions, and the needle would be moving. And when the needle is moving on this phonograph record, the sound, the music comes out, the song comes out. Similarly, whatever impressions we are creating on our mind, they are recorded in our mind. And the purpose of meditation is to create new positive channels in the mind and to eradicate those that are destructive. My dear friends, if you remember in my last session, I was talking about a lot of negative impressions which we have gathered since our childhood, lot of negative thought patterns and belief systems we have developed. They are like grooves. So with the help of meditation, not only you eradicate those destructive impressions which are there in our mind, we also create new positive channels by focusing our mind on positive uplifting objects like mantras or songs or some positive thought or different chakras, the energy centers of our body. It is not sufficient to eliminate the negative. Simultaneously, there must be striving to develop love, compassion, a sense of service, cheerfulness, kindness, and many other qualities which not only make one's own life happy but which radiates to others. Now, please make a note of this very important point, that when we are practicing meditation, when we are trying to grow ourselves in our life, it's not just about eliminating the negative parts which we have gathered, which we were discussing in the last session. We also striving to develop these beautiful, wonderful qualities: love, compassion, sense of service, cheerfulness, kindness, because they will make our life very happy. And when we meet other people, it will radiates and they will also get affected. As we say, if you radiate positive energy, then you will also attract positive energy towards you. Hmm. So these qualities also start getting manifested when you start meditating, because these qualities are part of us. It's not that these qualities we have to bring from somewhere else. By nature, we are person who likes to love and serve. By nature, we are compassionate. By nature, we like to serve. We want to make people happy. By nature, we are cheerful. The soul is cheerful. Soul is kind. All these wonderful qualities are there within our inner self. But all these wonderful qualities are covered right now as the mirror is covered with dust. And when mirror is covered with the dust, you can't see your face in the mirror. Also, the burning coal is covered with ash. When burning coal is covered with ash, you can't experience the heat and light which is coming out of the coal. But when you fan the coal, and by fanning the coal, all the ash goes away, withers away, then you can experience the heat and light which is coming from the coal. This is what meditation is, my dear friends. With the help of meditation, we are trying to clean the dirty mirror which is covering our real self. We are trying to clean all the ash which has been covered on our real self. And what is that dust and ash? That is actually called Shadaripus, six enemies: lust, pride, anger, envy, greed, illusion. Kam, Krodh, Tatha, Lobhas. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsar. These are the six things. So different kinds of meditations are there when we want to practice meditation. And the meditation which I shared with you a few minutes back, which you practiced with me, that was very simple mindful breathing meditation. The same meditation can be taken to the next stage, which is called silent meditation, where we just add one more thing into it. We start focusing on one particular object silently. Like I'll show you the steps. You see the steps, and then we'll practice for 5 minutes. This is called silent meditation. And the silent meditation is, first is direction. If possible, you try to sit towards east or north, because it's very helpful for the positive energies. Then position, cross-legged, if ideally cross-legged. If you can't sit cross-legged because you're sitting on chair or something like that, but your back has to be straight. Then command the mind. What the command you have to give to the mind? Tell the mind that I'm not going to pay attention to you for next 10 minutes or 5 minutes. I'm going to focus only on present right now. So this is the command you have to give, although it may not listen so easily, but you have to at least give the command. Then you have to regulate your breath, slow the breath, rhythmic breath. And then when you made the breath your rhythmic means if you're breathing in 4 seconds, you're also breathing out in 4 seconds. Then you will observe that your mind is going here and there. Just allow the mind to wander, don't worry about it. But your focus has to be completely on your breath. Do not force mind to be still, otherwise it will become more agitated. And then as your breath will settle down, your mind will also settle down gradually, that's for sure. And as you observe that your breath has settled down, your mind has settled down, then you start focusing your attention on a focal point. And that focal point can be your third eye, can be your heart chakra, can be a mantra, whatever. But you're doing everything silently in this. So we can practice this again for 5 minutes, and I'll share with you how you have to do it, this silent meditation. Now sit with your back straight again, and we'll practice again. It's very simple. Wherever you are, sit with your back straight, close your eyes, relax your shoulders, relax your neck. Connect with your breath. Now give the command to the mind. Tell to the mind that for next 5 minutes, please keep quiet. I'm not going to pay any attention to you. Even if you shout, even if you cry, even if you make something very urgent and important, because sky is not going to fall on my head if I don't do anything for next 5 minutes. That's how you have to talk to your mind and say, I'm not going to lament about the past and I'm not going to worry about the future. These are the two main activities mind do. Give the command to the mind. Now observe your breath. Again, same way as we discussed last time. Observe your breath. how your breath is traveling during inhalation and exhalation. Try to do some deep breathing also in the beginning by inhaling deeply so that your diaphragm pushes your belly out and you exhale very slowly and completely. Same thing. Please practice this. It's one of the most relaxing way of breathing. Inhale deeply and then exhale slowly and completely. Your whole attention is on your breath. If your mind is going here and there, and it's very easy to bring it to observe your breath because breath is the most real thing to live in the present. Anytime your mind is going here and there, bring your awareness to the breath and you will feel yourself into present. Now regulate your breath, synchronize your breath. If you're inhaling in 4 seconds, try to exhale also in 4 seconds. If you're inhaling in 4 seconds, try to exhale also in 4 seconds. It's called regulating your breath. And if your mind is wandering here and there, jumping around, creating too much noise, just don't pay attention to it. Don't try to suppress, don't try to talk. You bring your awareness to your breath. That how your breath is traveling, how your breath is traveling in and out. You're inhaling, and as you're inhaling, your breath is traveling inside your nostrils, going into your lungs, and you're exhaling, your breath is traveling out. Now try to make your breath more deeper and subtler by taking your awareness to the inner walls of your nostrils. And as your breath will become more synchronized, like if you're inhaling in 4 seconds and you're exhaling in 4 seconds, then you know what will happen? Your mind will also start becoming settling down. Do this for next 1.5 minutes. Somebody is raising hand, but I will answer after this meditation practice. Wait. Please try to make your breath very regular. Regularize your breath. Make it rhythmic. Rhythmic breath means as you're inhaling in 4 seconds, you're exhaling in 4 seconds. You're counting Om, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the mind for inhalation and then exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to do rhythmic breathing. And if your mind is wandering, jumping around, try to bring it back. And gradually your mind will settle down. Now bring your awareness in the middle of both of your eyebrows. Bring your awareness in the middle of both of your eyebrows. That is also called Agya Chakra or third eye. And imagine that when you are inhaling, your breath is traveling to your third eye, and as you're exhaling, your breath is releasing or coming out from your third eye and traveling to your nostrils and coming out from your nostrils. So now imagine in every inhalation, breath is traveling from your nostrils to your third eye and then again coming out from your third eye and out from your nostrils. Do that. Now your whole focus is on the travel of the breath, the trajectory of your breath, and also the point into which the breath is merging and coming out, that is third eye. Your whole focus is on third eye. In the middle of your both eyebrows. Continue do this meditation for next 1-2 minutes and see how focused your whole attention becomes. If you start feeling a kind of headache or intensity around your third eye, then bring your awareness to your heart region. Instead of focusing on third eye, you can focus in your heart. Imagine that your breath is traveling towards your heart and then coming out from your heart. Now bring your awareness to your shoulders. Rotate your shoulders. Move your neck. Bring your palms together. Rub them nicely. Create some heat out of them. Cover your eyes with your palms. Feel heat of palms on your eyes. Open your eyes inside the palms and then gradually you take your palms down. So you can share your experience after I ask these two people who have raised their hands. Ekta Dikshit. Yes, Ekta ji. बताइए. Or Mamta, whoever want to speak first. What happened? Have they gone to trance? They raised their hands. Maybe by mistake. So now I'm going to share with you very important, very effective meditation technique. It's called Tratak. Tratak is one of the most powerful technique given in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which can help you to increase your concentration like anything. So what is Tratak? Concentration is the essence of Tratak, and it is through powerful concentration that one makes progress in yoga and also in your day-to-day life. When you're focused, you're concentrated, you can do anything in life. What is concentration? It is one pointedness of mind, the ability to hold, to focus one's attention on one point without wavering. This is called concentration. So, how to develop this ability to hold? And that's what we are going to practice in this technique. Perfect concentration leads to meditation. So, in Tratak, concentration leads to complete mental attention on one object, form, or thought to the exclusion of all others. Read this very carefully, my dear friends. Concentration leads to complete mental attention on one object, form, or thought to the exclusion of all others. Means you become so focused on one particular thought or one particular object that you forget everything else completely. Like you must have heard this story of Arjun. Then when this their test was going on, Dronacharya was testing who is the best archer and who has learned most till now. Then there was a dummy bird was kept in the tree, and Dronacharya was asking from each archer what you see. And somebody was saying, I see tree, somebody was saying, I see tree branches, somebody was saying, I see sky also, and one person told, I see bird. But when Arjun said, I see only the eye of the bird, I don't see anything else. So this is a kind of concentration he developed, but this is the kind of concentration you can develop if you practice Tratak, which we are going to share with you in next few minutes. So please pay attention. Power of deep concentration. See, common man's mind is like a light bulb. What does it mean, light bulb? Light bulb has light, but it diffused in all the directions. And when it is diffused in all the direction, it cannot be very sharp and powerful and penetrating. But a yogi's mind, the person who does meditation regularly, is like a laser beam. Hmm? Laser beam has the same light, it's not some different light, but only thing it is focused. The intensity has become very strong. So similarly, when you practice Tratak, your power of deep concentration will increase and your mind will become a sharp laser. A laser type concentrated mind acts as an irresistible instrument of action, leads to efficiency in all one's activities in the outside world, is a dynamo which generates vitality and enthusiasm in every direction. I'm sure you will believe, you will agree with me what I'm saying here, that your efficiency, your vitality and enthusiasm will increase in every direction. So whatever you were talking in the last session, the practical application, how to do that is by doing these techniques. Either you can do mindful breathing, or you can do silent meditation, or you can do this Tratak. Tratak also very nicely has been explained in one of the videos if you go to the channel later on if you want to refer. But please try to learn here nicely, because if you today pay attention for next 5 to 10 minutes, you can learn it properly. I'm going to teach you whole thing. A laser type concentrated mind becomes receptive to higher vibrations and to heightened perception. Means when your mind becomes laser type, when you develop intuition, when your Agya chakra start opening up, you become receptive for higher vibrations. And when you become receptive for higher vibrations, your perceptions also become high. Just remember this example I gave you of sitting in the plane and then flying high, and the skyscraper buildings, they look like matchbox. So when you are fly high in the with higher vibration, first of all, negative vibrations will not affect you so much. And second thing is you don't care about those negativity and negative vibrations because you're totally in different world. And you always think something beyond what normal people think, and you try to achieve those things because you have that energy, you have that enthusiasm, and you don't have clarity and direction. Becomes a receiver of the influx of higher awareness, bliss, and knowledge. This is much more deeper spiritual progress when you get. Then you actually start becoming very much aware. You can even start reading what to speak of your mind. You can read other people's mind, and you can access that higher energy, awareness, and bliss. You will feel very peaceful and very happy, and lot of wisdom which will come from within, because the layers which are there, which are stopping you to access that inner wisdom, that is removed with the help of Tratak and other kind of meditations. So physiology of Trataka. See, in our head, if you see, there is a pineal gland and there is hypothalamus. It is a small pea-sized gland above the top of the spine in the center of the head between the two ears. Technically, it is located between the two cerebral hemispheres and above the cerebellum. So we are working on pineal gland and hypothalamus in this. The eyes are connected directly with the pineal gland because in Tratak we will be using our eyes to focus on a particular object. So what happens via the sympathetic nervous system, this is more technical, you don't have to worry about it, but listen this. The center of the sympathetic nervous system as well as the parasympathetic nervous system is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is also the center of wakefulness and pleasure together with sleep and pain. So when you activate pineal gland and hypothalamus, they're responsible for your relaxation, they're responsible for your sleep, they're responsible for your peace and calmness. So that's why with the help of this Trataka, we try to activate our pineal gland and hypothalamus. Therefore, the eyes, the pineal gland, the system, sympathetic nervous system, hypothalamus, and the wakefulness of individual are all intimately connected with each other directly or indirectly. So they are all connected. Mental concentration of any type will tend to bring these systems into a high level of sensitivity. So this is the most important thing in this which you need to note down. That when you concentrate, when you focus on particular object mentally and with your eyes, then it will bring a high level of sensitivity in this whole system of pineal gland, nervous system, and hypothalamus. And what will happen? In Trataka, the whole system is stimulated and awakened by concentrated through the eyes. That's what is going to happen. This induces higher sensitivity. By the way, this Tratak also called candle gazing in some terminology. If you people are wondering what I'm going to talk, it's called candle gazing. You blow a candle, you actually ignite a candle, and then you burn a candle, and you try to focus on the flame of the candle, or say some lamp, ghee lamp or oil lamp. This induces higher sensitivity of the pineal gland and directly via the sympathetic nervous system, greater wakefulness in the individual. So we will become more awakened. Some more benefits of Trataka. Emotions expressed in eyes, control of eyes leads to control of emotions. It cleanses your eyes, tones up eye muscles, eyesight increases, blood flow of eye improves, mind becomes focused and helps in concentration. That definitely we have been talking about it. But it's very beneficial for your eyes also, my dear friends. It's very beneficial to release your emotions. Also helps in getting rid of lethargy or laziness because you get awakened internally. It is one of the most important purifying process. Very important purifying process. Tratak is said to be kept a top secret, just as one takes care of a chest full of gold. So this is one of the secret of yoga knowledge, which is given to the public in recent times. Otherwise, yogis used to practice on their own in the caves. Proves to be useful on disorders caused due to advanced age, high powered spectacles, etc. Insomnia, headache, etc. disorders are eradicated. Many diseases of psychosomatic nature are cured. Memory and concentration in studies improve, for sure, there's no doubt. Rational wisdom develops. So, all these wonderful abilities at intellectual level, at emotional level, at physical level, you will get benefited just by this one technique, just by this one process of meditation. Now, types of Trataka, Bhaya Trataka is external, it is done on an external object, like we are going to practice on lamp. Internal Trataka, that also we'll practice today. Like at least I will give the explanation. We can't practice because we don't have the prepared object of lamp and all that with you. If you have, you can bring it. And the Madhya Trataka done on a closer object. Okay. So we are going to discuss Madhya Trataka. What is Bahya Trataka? Bahya Trataka is when you go to a river or say nature and you try to meditate a far tree, or you try to meditate on moon, or you try to meditate early sunrise, far away object, that is called Bahya Trataka. The distance object is quite far, but you just keep looking at it without getting distracted to anything else. Antar Trataka is you try to meditate on your third eye, you try to imagine something or meditate on it. And Madhya Trataka on a closer object, which we are going to explain to you, which is one of the most practical thing which you can do and very easy thing in your own room, in your own office, in your own home. So here this lady is sitting with a candle. First of all, make sure room is dark. Second, switch off the fans. Why? Because the lamp this flame which you are seeing should not waver. Because if there is air movement in the room, then the flame will waver and it will not be conducive to focus. Sit in Padmasana, Vajrasana or Sukhasana, whichever is comfortable or convenient. Padmasana means lotus pose. You can learn more about them on internet. Vajrasana, Sukhasana is comfortable pose, but in all these three asanas, three postures, your back is straight. And if you can't sit in any one of them, sit with the chair with your back straight on with the help of the chair back. The whole idea why we want to keep our back straight, because our Kundalini Shakti, which is lying at the base of our body, when it has to rise through your spinal cord. And keeping the back straight helps to uplift your spiritual energies high. Flame around 3 to 4 feet in the same line with the eyes. So this flame, whether it is a candle or it is a lamp, ghee lamp or oil lamp, it has to be kept on a stand, and the flame has to be in line with your eyes, and it is to be away like 3 to 4 feet from you. Then remove spectacles, contact lens if you're wearing. Spine is straight. Stare at flame without closing the eyelids. When it becomes unbearable, close the eyelids once and then again open and restart concentration upon flame. Now here is the process. Listen carefully. So now room is dark. There is no air movement. Try to avoid any noise also. You're sitting in front of the flame and you are just staring at it. And when you start staring at the flame, your eyes will start burning. Allow them to just tolerate it for some time, as much as you can. And at what particular point, maybe it's possible that some tears will start coming. And then it will be just unbearable to look at the flame. And then you close your eyes. And after closing your eyes, you try to imagine the same flame in the middle of both of your eyebrows. It's called internal tratak. Means you are imagining the same flame which you were looking at the flame when you were opening your eyes, but you are looking the same flame in the middle of both of your eyebrows. And imagine that ophthalmic nerves are becoming stronger and eyes are becoming bright and attractive. It is also very important to imagine, because whatever we'll imagine, we will be doing auto talk, and that will bring that kind of manifestation in our life. You have to meditate internally also the same amount of time you were doing externally. Then again open your eyes and again start looking at the flame. So this cycle you can do for 2-3 times, and then close your eyes and relax. Lie down in the corpse pose and just relax. And then go to wash your eyes with cold water. Wash your eyes with cold water, and then you will enjoy it. The peace and calmness, and you will become more concentrated. So you can do it like in the beginning only for 3 to 4 minutes. Don't try to do it more. And say some precautions here. Trataka should not be performed while one is suffering from any infectious diseases like conjunctivitis. So this is about Trataka. Any question you have about Trataka? I can answer you. Otherwise, we'll go to the next part of our discussion.
I think there is a question in the chat box.
Okay, let me see. How to keep the hands during meditation. Yeah, I had given the instruction. See, best is to keep on your knees, because when you keep your hands on your knees, your back becomes straight automatically. It it uh, it it just automatically action it happens. And if you want to learn more, then you can actually even learn some mudras. They are called gestures, but that is like much more addition to it, because that helps to flow of energy even much more better way. Like if you just connect your uh, this thumb and what do you call this finger, index finger, you just connect like this is called Gyan Mudra. You can just sit like this, very simple. Keep your hands like this on your knees and meditate. Another question is, what is best time to do this? Best time for any kind of meditation is actually early morning, because what happens early morning, uh, people are sleeping, most of them, and still there is not much passion in the environment. Still there is not much noise. People have not started running around. People are still sitting, sleeping, and they have not started their day. And Brahma Muhurta is the time which is like 1 hour, 1.5 hour before sunrise. That is considered to be the best time, because, and you have also taken good rest in the night. So you are also fresh, because meditation should be done, especially this Trataka and silent meditation, which I am teaching you, when you are rested well. Because if you don't rest well and try to do this meditation, you will fall asleep. Actually, you will feel lethargic and lazy. So best is to do after you have rested well in the morning. If you can't do that because sometimes life is very busy, so that you can do in the night just before going to sleep. That is also like say you have come from the office and you take good shower, and before your dinner you can do it. That is also a good time, because after dinner you may feel little tired or exhausted. So so the answer is that best time is the morning, but otherwise, if you want to do it, just do it anytime, because at least you will be able to do it. And Trataka, I think it's good to do morning and evening, because daytime is light and too much noise. But if you prefer, if you have choice, then do it in the morning. Otherwise, you can do it in the evening before your dinner. And one more thing, any kind of meditation or yoga practice should not be done immediately after eating, because it creates too much pressure actually on the, it's not, the experience may not be that wonderful. At least 2 hours gap has to be there. Like if you have eaten your meal, Try to do it after 2 hours of your meal. Okay. Any other question or feedback or experience you want to share? Now I'll share with you another technique of meditation that is called mantra meditation. What is mantra? That also we need to learn. And it's mantra related to any religion I need to do? No. In every culture of the world, you will find some mantras. There are some high energy phrases or words. If you chant them, then it will uplift your energy. And that sound vibration helps you to purify your consciousness. Mantra meditation is the process of uplifting our consciousness to the spiritual level and connecting with the spiritual energy. So, if you want to uplift your consciousness and you want to connect with the spiritual energy, as I was talking in the last session, you have to connect with highly elevated spiritual objects or positive objects, you can say other way. And those objects can be just going to nature and sitting in nature. That high power energy which is radiating from river, from forest, or going to a place which is very spiritual, like many people have practiced spirituality there. Like if you come to Rishikesh, the places where people have been meditating for years together, for decades, for centuries, and when you go to such place you can feel the vibration. But if you can't do all that, the simplest way to meditate in this age when we are too busy and we don't have much facility to take breaks like for months people used to take before, then you can just sit and connect with the high spiritual energy of a mantra. Choice of mantra depends on you, based on your faith, based on your inclination. But if you are open minded, you will definitely find a mantra which will help you to uplift your consciousness. Mantra yoga is actually a tradition found in almost every spiritual path in the world. It involves the softly spoken repetition of a prayer or mantra for one's own meditation. So, this word is important. Softly spoken repetition means if you are having a mantra or prayer, you softly repeat so that you can hear at least, and the sound vibration can get enter into your ears and start purifying your existence. Because among all of our senses, ear is one of the most powerful sense out of eyes and nose and tongue and skin. When person is sleeping, the best way to awake him by creating some sound. That's why we have alarm clocks. Even while person is sleeping, he can hear. He can't see. He can't. I don't know whether he smell. I don't smell while sleeping. And touch may be there, but if somebody has to come and touch, but even much more powerful than, and taste is no question while sleeping, but ear is still active. So that's why when you are in sleeping stage, we are in the sleeping stage, that's why our potential is not awakened fully. If you want to awaken your potential, you have to hear and hear the spiritual vibration, and that will awaken you. That's why mantra meditation is one of the most powerful way of meditation. Meditation is a practice where one focuses the mind on the object of meditation and tries to maintain concentration, bringing the mind back when it strays. So again, like when you have mantra, it is much more easy because you have now mantra to focus on. If you're trying to focus on void, it becomes a little challenging. If you try to imagine something, that becomes a little challenging. But if you have mantra and you're just chanting it, you can focus on it. So meditation and mantra will be most effective if we can avoid the internal dialogue we always have within our mind. Hmm. So what happens when you will start chanting, your mind will start going here and there. Like say if you're chanting Om. Om is a universal sound which is very highly spiritual energy carrying very high spiritual energy. So when you chant Om, so although the sound will affect your overall personality, your nervous system, but still mind will go here and there. So the idea is that you have to bring your mind again and again back to the sound vibration. You have to entangle your mind between your mouth and ear. Basically, whatever is coming out of the mouth, it should be heard by the mind. So acknowledge that the mind will flicker and deviate to almost anything except the mantra. So endeavor to bring it back and keep hearing the mantra. This is the hard work which you have to do in meditation. Again and again, this is the practice. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Like when you're learning to drive the car, it is going out of the balance, it is out of the control, but you have to again bring it back. And then it will become natural. By default, you will be able to meditate. So, one of the most popular and very powerful mantra meditation is Om meditation. If you're open minded, you can try it. It's a sacred mantra found in Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Yoga Sutras. It's called pranava. Pranava literally means sounded out loudly. You have to loudly chant it, which runs through prana or breath. Some people say it's a sound of a breath also. Om is mother of all the sound. Om is recited as mantra. A mantra is a series of verbal sounds. Now this you can note down if you want. It is a proper definition of what is mantra. Mantra is a series of verbal sounds having inherent sound power that can produce a particular physical or psychological effect. So physiological and psychological, both effect can be produced when you create this sound, series of verbal sounds. You like constantly repeat it for like say for like 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 5 hours, 12 hours. Continuously keep repeating that sound, and that sound will create physical and psychological effect. But any other sound, like say you keep calling Coca-Cola, 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 and you keep chanting Om, 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 there is a difference that you have to experience. I will not say what difference chanting of Coca-Cola will do in your life and what difference chanting of Om will do in your life, that you find out. So mantra, this is the definition of mantra. Manah trayate iti mantra. Manah trayate iti mantra. Mana means mind and trayate means to deliver. So mantra is a sound vibration that frees the mind from mental anxiety and disturbance and elevates it to spiritual consciousness. So Manatrayateti mantra, when you chant mantra regularly for longer period of time, it delivers your mind, it frees your mind from anxiety and disturbance. And not only it frees you from all the suppressed emotions and worries and whatever, it also uplifts you to the high level of spiritual consciousness. And what is spiritual consciousness? Spiritual consciousness is having confidence in yourself, not getting affected by situations and surroundings and ups and downs, not getting disturbed by people's comments, not getting affected by dualities like heat and cold, success and failure, insults and honor. Just imagine the kind of state just by chanting mantras. And this is the secret of many great souls, many great yogis, many great people in this world, because they make sure they uplift their consciousness to a spiritual level. So A represent the physical plane in Om, and U represent your mental plane, and M, guess what? Spiritual plane, because that's what is remaining. What is M? It stayed beyond going intellect, because what is spiritual? Going beyond your body, mind, and intellect. So when you chant Om, A has to be chanted roughly 2 seconds with open lips, and then U It's not you, it's ooh, oh. 3 seconds while partially closing the lips, and M is to be chanted 5 seconds around while lips completely closed. So this you can practice. You can practice with me if you like, if you want to be experiencing this sound vibration. Please sit with your back straight again, close your eyes, and try to create the sound from your belly, and then bring A from your belly, and then from your throat, and then from your lips. So this is the way you can do. You can practice on your own. We don't have time for practice more because I want to share some more knowledge with you. Effects of Om chanting, cleansing the mind. It's like any other mantra also. I'm just taking the example of Om right now. Controlling the emotions. Any authentic mantra you can choose based on your culture, based on your religion, based on your background, upbringing. But the mantra has to be uplifting the consciousness, improves the concentration, memory, and understanding capacity. All these things, relaxes physically, mentally, emotionally. Just imagine all three levels you'll feel relaxed by chanting. Charges the surrounding atmosphere. This is another beautiful thing about mantra. Mantra meditation not only helps you, it also helps others, which other meditation can't do. Because when you chant mantra, the vibrations get purified. And if you chant with some musical instruments, which is called kirtan, then it's like amazing. That's like just magical. The whole atmosphere changes drastically. Patanjali Yoga Sutra 1.23 to 29 describe that focusing on this sound removes obstacles on the spiritual path and takes one to the divinely realized platform. So, any questions till now about mantra meditation? This was about mantra meditation. I hope you could connect with it and you will try. Now, there are so many ways of meditation. It's not that you have to do every kind of meditation. You can try different kind of meditation, and whichever kind of meditation you feel connected, whichever kind of meditation you feel more, uplifted, that kind of meditation you can bring into your practice day by day. Okay. So that's how it works. You try different things and then you choose one path and continue to do follow that path day after day, week after week, month after month, and that you will expect some real effects. Now I want to share one more, which is called chakra meditation, Kundalini yoga meditation, which is also very popular nowadays, and people feeling that what it is, it's not something very difficult. Also, this also already I have explained in the beginning, but more technically now I'll explain to you. Now, what is Kundalini energy? Kundalini is dormant sleeping energy. It has huge potential for body and mind. Talks about changing the quality of awareness, experience, intellect of the mind to awaken your potential, your hidden qualities and abilities to become superhuman. Hmm. So this Kundalini energy is lying at the base of your body. Base of our body is not our feet. Base of our body, if you sit like this yogi is sitting here with cross leg, the base of body is considered to be our cervix or perineum, below our sexual organs. Cervix or perineum, that is our base of the body, and that's where this Kundalini Shakti, this power, this energy is lying, which is dormant stage. And if it is awakened, we can experience totally different ways of, concentration, love, affection, everything. As you will see about these chakras, which I'm going to explain to you now in next few minutes, you will realize that how much potential we are carrying, and with the help of these chakra meditations and different kind of meditation, we can awaken this. So what is chakra? Chakra means wheel, energy wheel or energy vortex, concentration of energy in these 7 places in our body, main energy points. And how many are there? 7. And they are located all along the spine. They are located all along the spine. See here. So you see the spine, backbone, and below, let's start from down, these coccyx there, actually the tip of your backbone, and that's where is, and below this actually Muladhara chakra in your cervix or perineum. Then there is sacral chakra, that is below, just above your sexual organs or around your sexual organs, that is Swadhisthana chakra. Then above that, around your navel, Manipur chakra, it's called solar plexus. Then around your heart, that is called Anhata or heart chakra or cardiac chakra. Then you have Vishuddhi in your throat. It's also called throat chakra. And then this Agya chakra, this is a third eye chakra, and Sahasrara, that is 1,000 petal lotus in your hand. So let's discuss about these chakras. Each chakra has its own quality. Muladhara chakra is the bottommost, is the root support. The function is to balance survival, instinct, security. And if root chakra is imbalanced, you will have more fear, insecurity, and anxiety in your life, because it is related to earth principle, bone, and our excretory system is responsible for this. And psychology is anxiety. If person root chakra is imbalanced, then person will feel more anxiety, person will feel more insecurity, person will feel more fear, person will not feel grounded in essence. So if you are feeling anxiety, if you're not feeling grounded, then you need to actually do root chakra meditation. So this Swadhisthana, self-awareness. What is self-awareness? It's also called pleasure chakra actually, because it is a water principle and it is responsible for reproductive and urinary organ and also sexual desire. So if it is not balanced, then person will not feel joy and happiness in life. Person will not feel joy and happiness in life. And person will go into depression, because when we don't have joy and happiness, person will feel depressed. So this is responsible for that, and the location is, I already explained to you, it's around our sexual organs and just above the sexual organ. Then we have this Manipur chakra, it's also called solar plexus, and it is around navel, and navel around the digestive system, it's fire. And if this is weak, you will not have strong willpower, you will not have self-confidence. And if imbalance, you will feel frustrated, angry, there's no self-love, you feel jealous of others, your digestion system will be weak. So, and psychology will be very angry and frustrated. But if you are balanced and strong in your Manipur chakra, you'll feel very confident and with lot of willpower. Then we have Anhata, it's called heart chakra also, and this is a chakra of love. It's a chakra of love and compassion, and it's responsible physical organs for heart, lungs, and circulation. So when people heart chakra is blocked, they have difficulty in experiencing love, they have difficulty in giving love, they have difficulty in just experiencing that higher emotions. And we have Vishuddhi chakra. This is also called throat chakra, responsible for vocal cords and thyroids. And when people, this throat chakra is blocked, they have difficulty in communication and they have difficulty in expressing. Many of us have difficulty in expressing our emotions, expressing our needs. Like we want to say something and it just comes and blocks in our throat. We're just not able to say it. So much hesitation we have, so much fear we have. And that's all because of this throat chakra block. And many times when children are not allowed to speak in their childhood, many times in the relationship with one of the partner, like wife or husband, is not allowed to speak, children are not allowed to speak, or the employees are not allowed to speak in front of their employer or boss, then throat chakra keep getting blocked and we find difficult to express, and that's become very frustrating situation. And this is Agya chakra. This is also called third eye chakra, command center of mind, center for intuition and intelligence. To have the intuition about our own life, intuition about others, a very high level of intellect. This is all because of third eye chakra. If it is imbalanced, then people have difficulty in regard to being very clear in their own life or having intellectual sharpness or try to understand other people. So this is for that. And the last one is actually Sahasrar, which is actually when Kundalini rises and travels through a spinal cord, because Kundalini is like a serpent which is sleeping at your base of the body. When it start rising through your spinal cord and reaches to Shiva Shakti, the consciousness, then actually you can experience the bliss and happiness of this Sahasrar chakra. So this is the basic knowledge of chakras. And now you will ask me, maybe you will be wondering that which chakra I should meditate on. Now that is very simple now. After knowing the very basic knowledge of the chakra in just 7 minutes, that whatever difficulty you are facing, if you're not feeling grounded, then which chakra you have to meditate? Root chakra, Muladhara chakra. If you're not feeling any joy or happiness, you're feeling depressed, then you need to meditate on Sahasrara chakra. I'm giving very basic and simple knowledge. Although its knowledge is very deep, we can do like days and weeks and months together on this topic. And then if you're feeling less willpower, you're feeling digestion issues, you're feeling no energy, you're not feeling confident, then you need to meditate on your solar plexus, Manipur chakra. If you're feeling like a block in your love life, compassion, then you meditate on your heart chakra. If you're feeling like choked up, then you have to meditate on your throat chakra. If you're feeling like less clarity and less intellectual sharpness, then you meditate on your third eye chakra. Hmm? If you are like that, you can check, but this is like an ultimate stage you have to reach. Now, how to meditate? You will ask again a question that again is a very big course kind of thing, but still, I can give you some tips. It's very simple. Like I was teaching you silent meditation, and I was teaching you two kinds of meditation. I taught you, we did practice actually, mindful breathing, and then we went to the silent meditation. So, same thing, like you start with your mindful breathing, and after starting with mindful breathing, then you go towards silent meditation, and then after going to silent meditation, now you focus instead of meditating on the third eye, you take your awareness to your root chakra, Muladhara chakra, and take your imagine as if your breath is traveling up to your Muladhara chakra, and then you take it out. Now somebody is asking a question or comment. Let me see. Is it possible that working on Muladhara chakra resolves many issues in the body and mind? Yes, because it's a foundational chakra. Unless person feels grounded, nothing is going to manifest. And most of the people actually have problem with their Muladhara chakra only, because life has become very uncertain in recent times. And when life is very uncertain, your Muladhara chakra get disturbed. Person doesn't feel grounded. I know one yoga teacher shared this with me. He used to teach in Delhi, near area where these embassies are there. his center was there actually, of yoga center. I'll not share, I can't share them very details, but he shared with me. So he told me that one of the lady used to come to his yoga center to learn yoga and meditation, and she shared that her daughter doesn't feel good in life, and her daughter doesn't feel grounded, doesn't feel happy, and very disturbed. So this yoga teacher told her that because you have been traveling to so many countries for last so many years, she doesn't feel rooted to any place. She doesn't feel that I belong to this place, I belong to this country, and this grounding is not there. So then few asanas are there which make you feel grounded actually. Standing series of asanas are there which was suggested to her, and then they started working on her Muladhara chakra, and she started feeling better. So yes, Dr. Shalini, by meditating on Muladhara chakra, you can resolve many body and mind issues because that is like a foundation. But if person is feeling less willpower, then is also you can focus on Manipur chakra. But any chakra you focus on, try to meditate at least for 30 to 40 days or 6 weeks. Then only some change will happen. It's not that you meditate today on one chakra and meditate on another chakra. Otherwise, you have to meditate for many hours. So it's very simple. You have to take your awareness to that chakra, and then just try to even bring that consciousness there. We can try 5 minutes meditation in the end. If after some time, maybe just say take one or two more questions if somebody has. Anybody else? Now there is one more thing which I want to share before we practice. We'll practice root chakra meditation after a few minutes. Now see this slide. You need to understand this when you want to understand meditation and ethics. So meditation process is a process of a ladder. It's like a ladder you're climbing, staircase. You start with yamas and niyamas, and then you go to asana, you go to pranayama, you go to pratyahar, then dharan, dhyan, and samadhi. So the last three, they are antaranga, internal parts actually of yoga and meditation. And first five are external. So when you want to go deeper into your meditation practice, you also need to observe yamas and niyamas. What are yamas and niyamas? Yamas and niyamas are social observance, personal observance, the value system. And according to Patanjali, we need to follow non-violence. We don't have to be violent to ourselves. We don't have to be violent to others. Satya, truthfulness. There are five yamas and five niyamas actually, and we need to practice them. We need to practice them. And if you don't practice these five yamas and five niyamas, then what will happen? The effect of meditation will not be deeper. So you need to practice non-violence, you need to practice truthfulness, and you also need to practice asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. It's not just taking things from others without asking them, which doesn't belong to you. Another yama which you need to practice is aparigraha, non-possessiveness. What is non-possessiveness? Means not taking more than necessary, not in the mode of just accumulating. Because we lose the peace of life when we're in the mood of just having more and more and more and more. So we need to observe these principles, then only real happiness and peace will come. And then there is another principle called brahmacharya, not just trying to enjoy too much, just going wild is not required. Try to have some regulation. And then there are five niyamas, and out of them, first one is cleansing, shocha. Our external and internal environment has to be clean. Our room, our clothes, our surroundings, Our mind, our chitta, they all need to be clean. Santosha, contentment. What is contentment? What is satisfaction? Satisfaction is austerity of mind is satisfaction, After working hard, after trying everything, whatever we get, we should learn to be happy with that. Not in the mood of complaining and comparing and criticizing. And when you have that contentment, you can relish your life. See, ultimately, we want to be happy. Ultimately, you want to experience that happiness. And that happiness you will not experience unless you practice these things contentment and truthfulness and austerity, tapas. Sometimes we need to take voluntarily some kind of hardships, like, tapas is very much required to burn the impurities, like getting up early in the morning and going for a walk, sitting for meditation, not eating particular kind of food, not speaking something which is not uh, positive, and then self-study. This is another niyama which you need to practice. That take out some time for introspection, take out some time for studying the spiritual books. This is called, and then ultimately surrender means accepting whatever is universe is offering you, appreciating, that this situation is the best for me, and I'll try to find the best whatever is available for me in this situation. So these two, yamas and niyamas, when you will practice, then actually you're qualified to do meditation. Otherwise, your mind will be disturbed. Your mind will be disturbed. And then you do asana practice, and asana practice helps you to become steady physically. Why we do asana? Sthiram Sukham Asanam, so that we can sit at one particular position for a longer period of time comfortably and steadily. That's why we do asana. That's the only purpose. And when you become aware of your body more and more by doing asana, then you start practicing pranayama so that you can become more aware of your breath. By breath work, which we were doing, like mindful breathing we were doing. When you do mindful breathing, you can be more internalize your breathing. And then you start going inside, and the fifth stage comes, that is pratyahara, means there is a stage when you start turning inward. Because in today's world, we are just too much external. But when you internalize yourself, then that is pratyahara is like a bridge, fifth stage. Then you're ready for meditation. You're ready for holding yourself, your attention. And that's where the sixth stage, which is called dharana, and then when your concentration, you start doing concentration in the form of silent meditation, or in the form of mantra meditation, or in the form of chakra meditation, or in the form of whatever way of meditation, you start going deeper into it, and that concentration start becoming meditation, because now your attention span to concentrate on that particular object start increasing, and your distraction start decreasing. And then the last stage is samadhi, means complete absorption with the object. You become one with the object actually. And you start experiencing and realizing that what you say, the beauty and the qualities of that particular object. That's why the object has to be highly uplifting object. You can't meditate on some, like people meditate. Everybody is meditating, you know that everybody is meditating, but they meditate on negative objects, some negative events, some negative person, some negative incident, some worry, some anxiety. But when you meditate on positive uplifting objects, those the qualities of that object start becoming property of your personality. So thank you for hearing me so nicely. And 5 minutes meditation we will do before we end. So wherever you are, please sit again with your back straight, close your eyes, and this time we'll try to meditate on your, let's do solar plexus meditation, Manipur chakra, okay? Because that will be a little easy to do. So close your eyes and relax your shoulders. Rotate your shoulders if you want, roll your shoulders, soften your shoulders, Soften your neck. Your back is straight but not stiff. Your neck is straight but not stiff. Your hands are on your knees. If you want, you can have your Gyan Mudra by touching the tip of your thumb with your index finger and start observing your breath. Your mind is wandering, going here and there, running at the speed of 120 miles per hour or even more. Tell your mind, command your mind, I am not going to listen to you. Keep quiet for next 5 minutes and bring all your awareness on your breath. Observe the movement of your breath. Do some deep inhalation. Inhale deeply so that your diaphragm pushes your belly out. Your lungs are filled completely with air. And then you exhale completely. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly and completely. Now bring all your awareness to your navel area. Just observe your navel internally. Don't open your eyes. Internally, all your awareness around your navel, that how your navel is moving. If you're lying down, then up and down. If you're sitting, mostly we should do by sitting only, that how it's going forward and inward. And when you inhale next time, imagine that your breath is traveling from your nostrils towards your navel. Your breath is traveling from your nostrils towards your navel. You're aware of your navel. Imagine you're activating your Manipur chakra, solar plexus, and you're releasing any kind of block which you have related to your own self-esteem, related to your own willpower, related to you're not being confident in life. You're releasing all those thoughts, all those belief systems while exhaling. How we release? While exhaling. And how we energize? While inhaling. So when you're inhaling and you're taking your breath towards your navel, you're energizing your Manipur chakra, you're increasing your willpower, you're increasing your confidence, and while exhaling, you're exhaling all the suppressed emotions and worries and lack of confidence while exhaling out of your navel. Just practice this for 2 minutes on your own. Continue to take your awareness around the navel area. During inhalation, imagine You are energizing your solar plexus, Manipur chakra, and while exhaling, you are taking out all the suppressed emotions and anxieties and lack of confidence out of your personality. Now bring your awareness to your shoulders, roll your shoulders, rotate your neck, bring your palms together, rub them nicely, create some heat out of them. Cover your eyes with your palms. Feel the heat inside your eyes and open your eyes and take your palms down. So my dear friends, this is a very basic way I have shared with you some things. This knowledge is vast and I will be happy if you can try some of these techniques on your own way. And if you want to refer some more things, then I very much suggest and encourage you. You can see some videos here. It's there on my channel. I have recently uploaded them in last 2 months. There is a video on Trataka. There is a video on mindful breathing. There is a video of the many videos on mindfulness techniques. There is some guided meditation also there. So feel tackling with your guilt feeling and then traumas and anxiety and depression. And the videos are not very long, just 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and you will find many good, lot of good stuff there. So thank you very much. This is what I wanted to share today, and we have only 5 minutes left. If anybody has any question or any feedback to share, any experience you want to share, I will be happy to hear or read at the chat box. Thank you very much.
I request a few participants to raise some questions. I think the question, so on. You can type it in the chat box if you want to ask anything. You can directly ask. Question from can be. So I think I'll would like to my vote of thanks to our resource person who has given us his valuable time over these 2 days, taking 3 sessions on various topics. I think, sir, there is a question. If you can speak up that, after that I'll wind up.
For students, concentration on which chakra would be best? Yes, it's the third eye chakra actually. The Tratak would be best, which I taught you. Tratak meditation with the candle eye gazing. So that is best for students because that helps you to concentrate and you don't have to do anything. You have to just uh, ignite a candle and sit in an environment which is dark, not noisy, not airy, and keep on focusing on the flame of the candle. I would suggest that is best for the students, Tratak meditation, which I taught you today. Okay.
So much for the
Or you
answer.
can do
Any more
third eye meditation. Yes, I can't listen you. Can you repeat?
Any more questions? Anybody would like to ask?
But why to concentrate on external object? Because it's easier. If you can concentrate internally, that is okay. Like I taught you both. You can internally imagine your third eye here and you can concentrate here. External objects are easier to concentrate because uh, that's how it is. Because when you internally go inside, mind start wandering too much. But if you find internally more easier, then you can do internal. But for me personally, when I have external objects, it's easier to begin with, and then later on, that's what is advised. Then you try to concentrate internally. I think we can. No more questions. If you want, you can just refer to my channel. There are many
Yeah.
nice videos. I really recommend you. This Strataka, I had full video on it. You can watch it again. And because we forget things, so you can refer to it and practice it while playing it, and it will help you to practice it, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Aradhana ma'am. I think we can wind up now. There's no more questions.